Before fear existed, before extinction had a name, there lived a bird who never learned to run. Imagine an island, a jewel in the Indian Ocean, untouched by human hands. This was Mauritius, a paradise forged by volcanoes and time, long before the first ships ever broke its horizon. In the soft light of an ancient sunrise, the land was a tapestry of dense, emerald-green forests, where the air hummed with the sounds of life, and the beaches were quiet stretches of pristine sand. The gentle waves of the ocean whispered secrets to the shore, a rhythm that had remained unchanged for millennia. This was the world of the dodo, a bird born into a world without predators, a world where the concept of danger was as foreign as the sky is to the deep sea. They were large, flightless, and perfectly adapted to their peaceful existence. They roamed the forest floor, their days dictated by the sun and the seasons, foraging for fallen fruits and seeds. There was no need for quick escapes, no reason to build nests high in the trees. The ground was safe, the forest was abundant, and life was simple. They were curious creatures, utterly naive to the idea of malice. If you were to walk among them, they would approach you not with caution, but with an inquisitive tilt of the head. Their trust was absolute, a pure and unbroken inheritance from generations who had known only peace. They were a testament to a world where harmony wasn't a goal, but the very nature of being. This wasn't just an island, it was a sanctuary, a living library of species that had evolved in splendid isolation. Every rustle in the undergrowth, every call from the canopy, was part of a symphony millions of years in the making. The dodo was its most unique note, a gentle, grounded melody in the heart of the forest. We often think of the dodo as a symbol of foolishness or obsolescence, but perhaps we've been looking at it all wrong. Perhaps the dodo is not a lesson in failure, but a memory of innocence, a reminder of a world that once was, before we arrived, a world without fear. As we look back, we see not a clumsy bird, but a creature of profound trust, living in a paradise that it had no reason to believe would ever end. Thank you for joining us on this journey back in time. If you found this story as moving as we did, consider subscribing for more tales from our planet's incredible past. For thousands of years, this island was a sealed paradise, a world where time seemed to slow, cradled by the gentle rhythm of the ocean. Imagine a place with no hunters, no claws, and no lurking shadows. Here, nature didn't just survive, it thrived in perfect harmony. Lush, emerald forests stretched from the turquoise shores to the misty peaks of ancient volcanoes, a dense canopy teeming with life. In this forgotten Eden, the trees hung heavy with fruit, their sweet perfume mingling with the scent of damp earth and tropical blossoms. Streams of crystal clear water tumbled down volcanic rock, forming serene pools and breathtaking waterfalls that fed the forest's heart. This was a sanctuary, a living library of species that existed nowhere else on Earth. Giant tortoises, ancient and wise, roamed freely through the undergrowth. They moved with a slow, deliberate grace, their shells like living stones, carrying the history of the island on their backs. These gentle giants had no enemies here. They were the undisputed kings and queens of this tranquil kingdom, sharing their domain with a dazzling array of colorful birds. Brightly feathered parrots painted the canopy with flashes of scarlet, sapphire, and gold. Their calls echoed through the trees, a vibrant symphony that replaced the silence of fear. Hummingbirds, like tiny flying jewels, darted from flower to flower, their wings a blur of motion. Every creature, big and small, lived without the instinct to flee, a testament to the island's profound peace. This wasn't just an island, it was a dream of what the world could be, a place where the only sounds were the rush of water, the rustle of leaves in the warm breeze, and the chorus of life celebrating its own existence. For millennia, this paradise remained untouched, a secret garden hidden from the rest of the world, breathing calmly, safely, and beautifully. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to subscribe for more wonders of our natural world. Imagine an island untouched by time, a lush green paradise floating in the vast Indian Ocean. This was Mauritius, the only home the dodo ever knew. For millions of years, this flightless bird lived in a world without predators, a world without fear. Here, in the soft light filtering through the dense canopy, a new life begins. A tiny crack appears on an egg nestled among the forest floor's fallen leaves. With a gentle push, a small, downy chick emerges. Its feathers are a soft, fluffy gray, its eyes wide with the innocent curiosity of a newborn. It stumbles on clumsy, oversized feet, taking its very first steps in a world it assumes is entirely safe. A large, gentle shadow falls over the chick. It's a parent, watching with tender care. There's no urgency, no need to teach lessons of hiding or fleeing. Instead, the parent nudges the little one toward a cluster of fallen fruit, sweet and ripe, on the ground. This was the rhythm of their life. Food was plentiful, the days were peaceful, and the concept of danger was utterly foreign. The dodo was a marvel of evolution, perfectly adapted to its unique environment. Growing up to 3 feet tall and weighing over 40 pounds, it had no need for flight. Its wings, over millennia, had shrunk to tiny, almost useless appendages. Why fly when everything you could ever need was right here on the ground? Their large, hooked beaks were perfect for cracking open the tough seeds and fruits that littered the forest. This was a life of serene simplicity. The dodo's world was a Garden of Eden, a place where the greatest struggle might be finding the juiciest mango. They lived, they ate, they raised their young, all under the warm tropical sun, completely unaware that their peaceful existence was about to be shattered. They were born into a life that never required fear, a trust in the world that would, tragically, become their greatest vulnerability. The arrival of ships on the horizon would bring a new kind of creature, one the dodo had no defense against, marking the beginning of the end for this gentle giant. Thank you for watching. If you're fascinated by the stories of our planet's lost creatures, make sure to subscribe and join us for more journeys into the past. Imagine an island, a paradise, untouched by the outside world. This was the home of the dodo, a bird unlike any other. For millions of years, the island of Mauritius was a sanctuary. There were no predators, no dangers lurking in the shadows. With no enemies to escape from, the dodo's life was one of serene simplicity. Here, in this isolated Eden, the rules of survival were different. The urgent need to fly, to soar into the sky, to escape a hunter's grasp, simply didn't exist. So, over countless generations, flight became unnecessary. Their wings, once tools for freedom in the air, slowly softened, becoming small and gentle reminders of a past they no longer needed. They were grounded, but they were safe. Their days were slow and peaceful. You could see them walking without hurry through the lush forests, their large bodies moving at a leisurely pace. Speed became meaningless. There was no one to outrun, no reason to rush. They would spend their time foraging for the fallen fruits that littered the forest floor. Their strong, curved beaks perfectly adapted for cracking open seeds and pulp. Life was a slow, delicious feast. When they weren't eating, they were resting. You'd find them gathered in small, calm groups under the cool shade of broad-leafed trees, dozing in the warm, tropical air. They didn't need to hide or build elaborate nests high in the branches. The ground was their home, their sanctuary. Their existence was a testament to a world without fear, a gentle rhythm of eating, resting, and living in complete harmony with their surroundings. This was the Dodo's world, a peaceful existence shaped by isolation and abundance. It was a life that required no defense, no escape, no struggle. It was a world where a bird could forget how to fly, simply because it never had to. They were the gentle giants of Mauritius, a symbol of a lost paradise and a life lived in perfect, undisturbed peace. A world we can now only imagine. Thank you for watching. If you found this glimpse into the Dodo's world fascinating, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories from our planet's incredible past. Imagine a world untouched, a paradise bathed in the golden light of dawn. This was the home of the dodo, a creature often misunderstood, a symbol of extinction, but once a vibrant part of a thriving ecosystem. They weren't clumsy or foolish, as tales might suggest. Instead, they lived a life of simple, profound connection. Picture them now, gathered near the crystal-clear waters of a tranquil lagoon. Their movements are deliberate, unhurried. They communicate in soft calls, a language of community and belonging. A pair preens each other's feathers, a tender gesture of affection, reinforcing a bond built over time. Nearby, a mother carefully turns her single precious egg, a future she guards with unwavering devotion. The whole group, or flock, works as one, a collective family sharing the responsibility of survival, finding safety in their numbers. This was a world that moved at a different pace. Giant tortoises, ancient and wise, lumber past the dodo gathering. There is no fear, no conflict, just a shared existence, a mutual respect between the island's inhabitants. The dodos and the tortoises are two parts of the same peaceful rhythm, a natural harmony that has played out for centuries. They lived slowly, not out of laziness, but out of a deep sense of being present. They lived together because in unity they found strength and comfort. They lived in balance with their world, taking only what they needed, giving back through their very existence. Before their story became a cautionary tale, it was a love story, a story of a gentle species living in a gentle land, a testament to a world where life could be slow, simple, and beautiful. It's a reminder of the intricate tapestries of life that have been lost, and the preciousness of the ones that still remain. Let's remember the dodo not for how they disappeared, but for how they lived in peace, in community, and in perfect, delicate balance. Thank you for watching. If you were moved by their story, please like, share, and subscribe for more journeys into the past. On the island of Mauritius, life had a rhythm, a pulse set by the sun and the seasons. For the dodo, this rhythm was all it had ever known. Generations had passed, and the world was a predictable place. The sun would rise, warming the volcanic soil. The rains would come, nourishing the fruit that fell from the trees. Life was simple, and it was good. The dodos themselves were a marvel of island evolution. large, flightless, and utterly fearless. Why would they need fear? On this isolated paradise, there were no predators to run from, no dangers to fly away from. Their biggest concern was finding the ripest fruit or the most comfortable nesting spot. They waddled through the forests, their unique gait a testament to a life without urgency, a life without threat. They were the kings of their tiny kingdom, unaware that a world existed beyond their shores. Each day was much like the last. The gentle trade winds would rustle the leaves of the ebony trees, a familiar sound that meant all was well. The dodos would go about their business, communicating with soft calls, raising their young in the safety of the undergrowth. They had evolved perfectly for this environment, a masterpiece of adaptation for a world that was constant and unchanging. They were a successful species, thriving in their own special corner of the earth, a living example of how life flourishes when left in peace. But then, one day, something was different. A subtle shift in the air that the dodo's senses, honed over millennia, couldn't quite place. The wind, usually a gentle companion, began to carry an unfamiliar scent. It started to blow with a little more force, a little more persistence, whispering through the trees, not with a lullaby, but with a warning. The dodos, however, remained calm. What was there to worry about? A storm, perhaps. They had weathered storms before. They would simply find shelter and wait for the familiar calm to return. The camera of their world pans out across the dense forests and volcanic peaks, settling on the vast, empty expanse of the Indian Ocean, a blue, endless horizon that had always been a barrier, a protector. For so long, it had kept their world pure and isolated. But evolution never prepared them for what would come next, because it had never come before. From over that same horizon, a new shape appeared, a shape that didn't belong, a shape that would change the rhythm of Mauritius forever and bring an end to the dodo's peaceful reign. Their world was about to be broken. On the distant horizon, silhouettes of ships appear, gliding silently over the ocean's vast expanse. For the creatures on the island of Mauritius, this was a sight never before witnessed. Life here had evolved in splendid isolation, a world without predators, a paradise of trust. Among its unique inhabitants was a bird unlike any other, the dodo. These gentle, flightless birds, weighing up to 50 pounds, roamed the forests freely. Their days were spent foraging for fallen fruits, their lives governed by the simple rhythms of nature. They built their nests on the ground, secure in the knowledge that their single precious egg was safe. There were no snakes, no large cats, no threats to teach them the meaning of fear. Their world was one of complete innocence. When the ships finally reached the shore, the sailors were greeted by a curious sight. The dodos, instead of fleeing, approached these strange new beings. They waddled closer, their large, inquisitive eyes showing no alarm, only a gentle curiosity. They did not run because they did not know how. The concept of danger was entirely alien to them. They had never needed to develop the instinct for flight or fight. This trusting nature, born from a life of peace, would tragically become their downfall. The sailors, hungry after their long voyage, saw not a unique and gentle creature, but an easy meal. The dodos were slow, unafraid, and simple to catch. But it wasn't just the hunting that sealed their fate. The sailors brought with them dogs, pigs, cats, and rats, invasive species that preyed on the dodo's eggs and outcompeted them for food. The paradise was broken. The forest that once echoed with the dodo's calls grew quieter. Their nests were ravaged, their food sources diminished, and their numbers dwindled at a terrifying rate. In less than a century from their first encounter with humans, the last dodo was gone. A species that had thrived for millennia was wiped from the face of the earth, leaving behind only scattered bones and a heartbreaking story. The dodo's extinction is a profound lesson. It's a somber reminder of our responsibility to the other inhabitants of this planet. They did not run because they trusted a world that, in the end, failed to protect them. Their memory serves as a silent, powerful plea for us to be better stewards of the natural world, to protect the innocent and the vulnerable before they too fade into history. Thank you for watching. Have you ever walked through a forest and felt like something was missing? A silence where there should be birdsong, an emptiness where there should be life. Look closely. Here, an abandoned nest. There, a shattered eggshell on the ground. The wind whispers through the branches, but it carries no reply, no chirps of fledglings, no flutter of wings. This isn't a story of predators and prey in the way you might think. No, this is something quieter, something more unsettling. It began subtly, a new arrival in the forest, charming and helpful. It offered food when resources were scarce, shelter when storms gathered. The birds, trusting by nature, welcomed this stranger. They shared their nests, their families, their deepest vulnerabilities. They saw a friend, a helping hand in a world that can often be harsh. They believed in the inherent goodness they were shown because it mirrored their own. Kindness was their language, and they assumed everyone spoke it. But trust became their weakness. Kindness became their end. The very things that made their community so vibrant, their openness, their willingness to share, their belief in one another, were turned against them. The help offered was a mask for a different intent. The shared nests became easy targets. The community, built on a foundation of goodwill, was dismantled from the inside out, piece by piece, until only silence remained. The forest floor is now a testament to this betrayal, littered with the remnants of broken promises and shattered lives. This quiet, empty forest serves as a stark reminder. It tells a story not of a violent battle, but of a slow, creeping erosion of trust. It shows us how a community can vanish, not with a bang, but with a whisper. We are left to wander through this profound stillness, to witness the aftermath of a kindness that was exploited, and to ask ourselves, when the songs have all faded, what lessons are left behind in the silence? What do we learn from the empty nests and the quiet trees? It's a heavy question, one that hangs in the air long after we've left the woods behind. Thanks for watching. Have you ever felt like the world is moving on without you? Like you're the last one left, a relic from a time that's already passed? Imagine that feeling, but for an entire species. This is the story of the dodo, a bird that became a symbol of extinction. Picture the island of Mauritius, a jewel in the Indian Ocean, long before humans arrived. It was a paradise, lush and green, and home to a peculiar, flightless bird, the dodo. For millions of years, they thrived here, with no natural predators. They were large, trusting, and perfectly adapted to their island home. They had no reason to fear, no reason to fly. Life was simple. They waddled through the forests, nested on the ground, and lived in a world that seemed designed just for them. It was a peaceful existence, a life untouched by the rapid changes happening elsewhere on the planet. Then everything changed. In the late 16th century, sailors landed on Mauritius. For them, this island was a new discovery, a resource. But for the dodo, it was the beginning of the end. The sailors brought with them things the island had never seen: hungry men, and invasive species like rats, pigs, and monkeys. The dodos, fearless from generations of isolation, were easy prey. They couldn't fly away. Their ground nests were defenseless against the new predators who ate their eggs. The forests that were once their sanctuary became a trap. Within just a few decades, their numbers plummeted. The once common sight of a dodo became a rarity. Imagine being one of the last ones. The familiar calls of your kind are gone, replaced by an eerie silence. You wander through the once bustling forest, now empty of your family, your friends. You are utterly alone. The world you knew, the only world you ever knew, has vanished. The last confirmed sighting of a dodo was in 1662. Just like that, they were gone. A whole species wiped from the face of the earth, not by a natural disaster, but by us. The dodo's story is more than just a sad tale. It's a powerful warning. It shows how fragile life can be and the immense impact we have on our planet. The world moved on, but the dodo did not. They remain frozen in time, a silent reminder of what we have lost and what we still stand to lose. Let's not let their story be forgotten. Thanks for watching. Have you ever wondered what silence sounds like? Not the quiet between songs or the hush of a library. I mean true silence, the kind left behind when a voice is gone forever. This is the story of one such silence, the silence of the dodo. For millions of years, the island of Mauritius was a paradise, a world unto itself, isolated by the vast Indian Ocean. Here, life evolved in unique and wonderful ways. In this isolated sanctuary, a bird unlike any other came to be. It was large, flightless, and had never known a predator. It had no reason to fear, no need to fly. This was the dodo. Imagine a bird so trusting, it would walk right up to you, curious and unafraid. Its home was a lush forest, a world of green, where it nested on the ground, safe and secure. The dodo wasn't a clumsy, comical creature, as old drawings might suggest. It was a marvel of evolution, perfectly adapted to its peaceful world, a survivor. Then, in the late 16th century, ships appeared on the horizon. Humans arrived, and with them came a world the dodo couldn't comprehend. Sailors, hungry after long voyages, saw an easy meal. But it wasn't just hunting that sealed the dodo's fate. The ships brought stowaways, rats, pigs, and monkeys. These new animals overran the island, devouring the dodo's ground-level eggs. The forests, the dodo's only home, were cut down to make way for settlements and farms. Its world was being dismantled, piece by piece. The bird that had thrived for millennia found its paradise turned into a trap. In less than a century from its discovery, the silence began. The last confirmed sighting of a dodo was in 1662. Just like that, it was gone. We often think of extinction as a distant, natural process, survival of the fittest. But the dodo's story is different. It's a story of innocence, lost, of an imbalance created not by nature, but by us. We arrived, and we failed to see the intricate web of life we were tearing apart. We didn't understand, or perhaps we didn't care, that our actions had consequences that would echo through time. The dodo wasn't unfit to survive its world. It was simply unprepared for ours. Its extinction wasn't a failure of evolution. It was a failure of our empathy, our foresight, our stewardship. The dodo did not fail to survive. Humanity failed to protect.